Hello everyone. Today I am going to start another new lesson for you. Today my lesson is on coordination in human body. So here we are going to see that what is coordination and what are the organs and the systems of our body that is involving in maintaining coordination. Now let's see what is coordination. Coordination is the ability to select the right muscle at the right time with the proper intensity to achieve a proper action. Now, if we see the singular word for the coordination, it is samayojana. Here, our body organs coordinate in order to bring about the action. අපේ ශරීරයේ කිසියම් ක්‍රියාවක් කරන්න තියෙන අවයව එකිනෙකට සම්බන්ධ වෙලා නිවැරදි අවස්ථාවේදී නිවැරදි ක්‍රියාවක් කරන්න අපේ ඇඟේ තියෙන අපේ ශරීරයේ තියෙන organs අතර තියෙන සම්බන්ධතාවයට තමයි අපි coordination කියලා කියන්නේ. So as an example, we'll take a cricket player. If the ball is coming towards the player should hit the ball using the bat. So once he sees the ball, he have to coordinate his eye, hand, legs, and all the whole body to hit the ball properly. So in this action, all the organs of our body concentrate to perform one action. So that is called as coordination. If we consider the term coordination, the coordination is happening in two ways within our body. The first one is the nervous coordination, and then the endocrine coordination. So let's see what is nervous coordination. So in nervous coordination, the coordinating and the controlling of our body is taken place through the nervous system. ස්නායු පද්ධතිය හරහා අපේ ශරීරයේ අවයව එකිනෙකට සම්බන්ධ කරමින් සිද්ධ වෙන සමායෝජනයට අපි කියනවා ස්නායු සමායෝජනය කියලා. And also in the endocrine coordination, no nervous system is involving in coordination. Instead, the body organs are connected by the chemicals called as hormones. හෝමෝන කියන රසායනික ද්‍රව්‍ය මගින් අපේ ශරීරයේ අවයව එකිනෙකට සම්බන්ධ කරලා කිසියම් ක්‍රියාවක් සිදු කිරීම තමයි හෝමෝන සමායෝජනය කියලා අපි කියන්නේ. So these are the two types of coordinations you find in your body. So in the lesson, we are going to learn about these two types in details. So first, let's see what is nervous coordination. If we consider the nervous coordination of our body, it is taken place with the involvement of the nervous system. ස්නායු පද්ධතිය ආශ්‍රිතව සිද්ධ වෙන සමාජනයට තමයි අපි ස්නායු සමාජනය කියලා කියන්නේ. So the nervous system composed of two main systems. The first one is the central nervous system. And the second one is the peripheral nervous system. So these are the two main types of nervous systems we find in our body. So in singular, the central nervous system means the madhya snayu paddhatiya, and peripheral nervous system means paryanta snayu paddhatiya. So when we come to the central nervous system, madhya snayu paddhatiya, it composed of two main organs, brain and the spinal cord. Brain means the molar and spinal cord is Sushumna. So central nervous system is composed of two organs as brain and the spinal cord. And when we come to the peripheral nervous system, it composed of two types of nerves. ස්නායු වර්ග දෙකකින් තමයි මේ පර්යන්ත ස්නායු පද්ධතිය හැදිලා තියෙන්නේ. First one is cranial nerves and second one is the spinal nerves. So cranial nerves are the nerves arise from the brain and spinal nerves are arise from the spinal cord. So this is the structure of our nervous system. Now let's move to the two types of nervous systems we find in our body. The first one is central nervous system. So let's see what is central nervous system and what are the functions of the central nervous system. Now, when considering the structure of the central nervous system, it is mainly composed of two organs. So the first organ you find in the central nervous system is the brain, and it is the main organ of the central nervous system. And then you find the spinal cord as the second organ of the central nervous system. So with the involvement of these two organs, our central nervous system functions to coordinate the organs of our body. So මොළය සහ සුෂුම්නාව කියන්නේ මධ්‍ය ස්නායු පද්ධතියට අදාළ අවයව දෙක. එතකොට මේ අවයව දෙකේ සමායෝජනයෙන් එකතුවෙන් තමයි අපේ ශරීරයේ මධ්‍ය ස්නායු පද්ධතිය හරහා සිද්ධ වෙන ස්නායු සමායෝජනය සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ. Now let's move to brain. So brain is the main organ of the central nervous system and it is well protected in our body. So if we consider the brain, it is covered by a thick bone called as the skull. Skull is the bone which covers the brain and it protects the brain from the physical barriers. එතකොට හිස් කබල කියලා කියන්නේ අපේ මොළය ආරක්ෂා වෙලා තියෙන අස්තිය. එතකොට මේ මගින් අපේ මොළයට බාහිරින් සිද්ධ වෙන හානි වලින් අපේ මොළය ආරක්ෂා කරනවා. And also the brain is covered by the layers of special connective tissues called as meninges. And these meninges are filled with the fluid called as the cerebrospinal fluid. So, this cerebrospinal fluid acts as a shock absorber. It absorbs the shocks that is felt to the head, and also it supplies nutrients to the brain, and it acts as a nutrient supplier, and also it protects our brain from the microbial infections. So these are the functions of the cerebrospinal fluid that is contained within the meninges. අපේ හිස් කබලට යටින් සම්බන්ධක පටක තියෙනවා. අපි ඒවට මෙනින්ජස් කියලා කියනවා. ඒවා ඇතුලේ cerebral spinal fluid කියන තරලය පිරලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට මේ තරලයේ කාර්යයන් ටික තමයි මම මෙහි පැහැදිලි කරේ. Shock absorber, nutrient supply and protect our brain from the microbial infection. So these are the measures that has taken by our body to protect our brain. Now we are going to study about the brain further. So first let's see what are the main parts of the brain. So as the main organ of the central nervous system, our brain is composed of three main parts. The first one is the cerebrum, and then cerebellum. Here it is the cerebellum, and here it is the medulla, or it is also called as the medulla oblongata. So these are the three main parts of the brain you find as the main organ of the central nervous system. You know that our brain has three main areas or three main parts as cerebrum, cerebellum and the medulla. So here you are going to study about these three parts separately and see what are the functions of each these parts. Okay, first let's see what is cerebrum. Cerebrum is the largest organ of our brain or the largest part of our brain. So here you are given a diagram of the brain. So it involves a larger volume of the brain. මොලේ වැඩි කොටසක තියෙන අවයවය කොටස තමයි අපි cerebrum කියලා කියන්නේ. So if we consider the functions, the main function is to control all the higher brain functions like thoughts, intelligence, learning ability, emotions ඔය වගේ අපේ මොළයෙන් සිද්ධ වෙන විශේෂිත කාර්යයන් අපේ සිතීමේ හැකියාව අපිට දැනෙන දේවල් ඊට පස්සේ අපේ බුද්ධිය ඉගෙන ගන්න දේවල් මේ දේවල් තීරණය කරන්නේ cerebrum මගින්. And also it recognizes the senses from the that comes to our body from the environment. So you know that we have five sensory organs as eye, nose, tongue, ear, and the skin. So these sensory organs receive different sensors from the environment like touching, sounds, different tastes, and different lights from the different objects. So these sensors are recognized and identified by the cerebrum of our brain. And also it controls the voluntary muscle actions. Voluntary muscle actions means the muscle actions that are taken place according to our need. අපේ අවශ්‍යතාවය මත අපි හිතලා කරන muscle movements. අපි දුවනවා වෙන්න පුළුවන්, ඇවිදිනවා වෙන්න පුළුවන්, මොන හරි බඩුවක් ගන්නවා වෙන්න පුළුවන් අතින්, ලියනවා වෙන්න පුළුවන්. මේ වගේ අපි හිතලා කරන muscle ක්‍රියාකාරකම් වලදී muscle actions control කරන්නේ. And also it maintain the balance of those muscular activities. ඒ වෙලාවේදී muscles වලින් සිද්ධ වෙන ක්‍රියාකාරකම් වලදී අපේ ශරීරයේ සමතුලිතතාවය තියාගන්න. ඒ කාර්ය සිද්ධ කරන්නේ මේ cerebrum මගින්. So controls the voluntary actions in order to maintain the balance of those activities is also maintained by this cerebrum. Now let's see what are the functions of the cerebellum. So cerebellum is located below the cerebrum and it is not a large part as the cerebrum. So here you are given a diagram of the cerebellum. And now let's see what are the functions of the cerebellum. Now, cerebellum involves in maintaining coordination and balance of our body. And when we consider the cerebellum, it control and coordinate the timing and the force of different muscles uh, that are needed to perform certain actions. So main function is that it involves in maintaining body balance. Okay, now let's move to the medulla or medulla oblongata. So here you are given the diagram of a medulla oblongata, and let's see what are the functions of medulla. Uh, so the main function of the medulla is to passing messages in between the spinal cord and the brain. So it connects the brain and the spinal cord. And also another main function of the medulla oblongata is to control the involuntary functions of our body like a cardiovascular system and the respiratory system. Involuntary means the activities that is happening in our body without our permission, without knowing of ourselves. So they are happening under the control of the medulla oblongata. Examples are the heartbeat and breathing. කියන්නේ අපේ අනුදැනුමක් නැතිව අපේ ශරීරයේ සිදුවෙන ක්‍රියාකාරකම් පාලනය කරනවා මෙඩල්ලා ඔබ්ලොන්ගේට මගින්. උදාහරණයක් විදිහට heartbeat. heartbeat එක අපි කියලා නෙමෙයිනේ heart එක beat වෙන්නේ. It is a involuntary function. So it is controlled by the medulla. And also the respiration or breathing. Our respiration is also controlled by the medulla. That movement of the muscles for the process of respiration is controlled by medulla. So these are the main functions of the medulla. Now let's move to the other main part of the central nervous system, that is spinal cord. So here we are going to see what is the structure and the functions of the spinal cord. Okay, now we are going to see what is the structure and function of the spinal cord. So here you are given the diagram of the spinal cord. So the cord-like organ that is starting from the brain and runs downwards from the brain is called as the spinal cord. So spinal cord is also well protected in our body as the brain. So the bones that involves in protection of the spinal cord is called as the vertebral column, and inside the vertebral column it has again a connective tissue called as meninges, which is filled by the cerebrospinal fluid. So earlier I have explained the function of the cerebrospinal fluid. So that same function is performed by the cerebrospinal fluid here to protect the spinal cord. And spinal cord is a complex part of our body which is composed of numerous nerve cells. ස්නායු සෛල ගොඩකින් හැදිච්ච සංකීර්ණ ඕගන් එකක් තමයි ස්පයිනල් කෝඩ් කියලා කියන්නේ. සුෂුම්නාව කියලා කියන්නේ. And it is responsible for maintaining movements and the sensations of our body. And the main function of the spinal cord is to carry signals between the brain and the rest of the organs of the body. අපේ ශරීරයේ තියෙන අනිකුත් අවයව හා මොළය අතර පණිවිඩ අරගෙන යන ෆන්ක්ෂන් එක කරන එක තමයි ස්පයිනල් කෝඩ් එකේ කාර්ය වෙන්නේ. Earlier, I explained that our nervous system is composed of two main systems as central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. So here onwards, I have discussed with you about all things about the central nervous system. So now I am going to start to discuss with you about the peripheral nervous system. Now here you are given the clear diagram of our nervous system. So here it has the brain and the spinal cord, and you will be able to see that there are nerves arising from this brain and the spinal cord. So our peripheral nervous system means all the nerves that arise from the brain and the spinal cord. So all the nerves except the brain and the spinal cord are included in the peripheral nervous system. So there are 12 pair of nerves that is arising from the brain. So this nerves that is arising from our brain are called as cranial nerves. So we have 12 pairs of cranial nerves. And also there are 31 pair of nerves that is arising from the spinal cord and spread throughout the body. So these 31 pair of nerves that is starting from the spinal cord are called as spinal nerves. So peripheral nervous system is composed of two types of nerves as cranial nerves and the spinal nerves. Now let's see what are the functions of the peripheral nervous system. So here in this small animation, it is clearly indicated what is the function of the peripheral nervous system. The main function is to transmit impulses from receptors to the central nervous system and also transmit the impulses from the central nervous system to the effector. So this peripheral nervous system act as a coordinator in between the organs and the central nervous system. So it passes messages from the organs to the central nervous system and the messages from the central nervous system to the other organs. So these messages or impulses are transmitted through the nerves as a electric signal. Electric signal එකක් විදිහට අපේ receptor organ එකක ඉඳලා ඒ කියන්නේ පරිසරයෙන් තියෙන දේවල් ග්‍රහණය කරගන්න අපේ sense organ එකක ඉඳලා පණිවිඩයක් විද්‍යුත් තරංගයක් විදිහට විද්‍යුත් පණිවිඩයක් විදිහට අපේ central nervous system එකට අරගෙන ගිහිල්ලා එතනින් දෙන පණිවිඩයක් ආපහු අපේ effector organ එකට අරගෙන එන එක තමයි peripheral nervous system එකේ function එක වෙන්නේ. Now let's see what is endocrine coordination. Now earlier you learned about the nervous coordination which is done by the involvement of the nerves. Now here we are going to learn about the endocrine coordination. Here no involvement of nerves is taken place. Instead there are special organs that is called as the endocrine system, and these organs are responsible for maintaining the endocrine coordination. So here in this diagram you are given the organs that are included in the endocrine system of our body. So this endocrine system is involved in secreting hormones. These hormones are chemicals and these are secreted into blood and they are transmitted throughout the body through the blood. So there are no special system to connect the organs of the endocrine system, and the secretions are transmitted throughout the body through the blood, and these hormones travel to cells of each and every parts of the body to bring about a change. The endocrine hormones, so the chemicals secreted by our endocrine system, are involving in maintaining all the activities of our body like growth, development, mood, and metabolism of our body, and mainly the reproduction. So these are the things that are controlled by the endocrine system, and the endocrine system regulate the amount of hormones and when that hormone should be released and what are the target organs of that uh, hormone. So these things are regulated by the endocrine system or the organs of the endocrine system. Okay, today I discuss with you about the coordination of our body and the systems that are involving in the coordination of our body and how it is happening. Now I am going to wind up my lesson for today, and let's meet with another new lesson in my next video. Thank you and goodbye you all.